Hello everybody, my name is Jason. I am an ISFP. You are watching my ISFP journey. Thank you so much for watching. Today I want to ask this question. Does your personality type cause you all of your problems or most of your problems? I'm going to give you an example, a little story that has been slowly happening to me over the last couple weeks. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit of a complaint. Not really. I mean, yeah, it is, but it's a complaint that I think, or it's a situation that I think I'm learning something from. And so I want to share it with you guys. I work in the medical industry right now, and the medical industry, it's very heavily regulated. The insurances kind of rule everything. And we have to follow very specific processes to get things done and get them done correctly so that we meet all of the insurance's guidelines, okay? And the fact that we have to do all that slows the process down for patients to get what it is that they need, okay? It's not always as fast as people would like. So we had this patient who wanted a particular service, and I was trying to go through the processes to get everything lined up properly for his insurance, and he became upset about this or highly agitated, and he complained and whined and said basically those things that need to be said so that he could receive this service quicker. However, by doing so, we sort of jumped the process. We skipped over some steps that we would normally go through and then tried to do them on the back end, okay? Well, ever since that day that this gentleman got this service, he's had nothing but a string of problems with the service. Things have not been right. Most of the things that have not been right have been in regards to paperwork, normal processes, insurance, all of the things that we sort of had to skip in order to get him what he wanted in that extremely fast manner that he wanted it, okay? So now, he's had a string of problems since the day he received his service. And when I look at the problems he's having, I say to myself, well, you wouldn't have had all of those problems if you would have allowed us to go through the process. Now, I share that as a little bit of a frustration and a complaint, but it raises this question in my mind. I wonder if this guy goes through life regularly demanding of other people that they skip their normal processes, make exceptions, and get things done for him super fast, right? And just the way he wants it. I can't help but think that he probably goes through his life being very demanding of other people and expecting them to do whatever it is that he thinks is the right way, the way that in his mind works. And he can't or won't see the hidden processes that must play out in order for things to work properly. And then I can't help but think that if he does go through his life constantly sort of banging people in the face with this sort of, this is the way I see it and the way I think it should be done, so you all should get on board with me and do everything the way that I say because it makes sense to me. If he does go through life like that, then I'll bet that he regularly encounters these problems where he may seemingly get what he wants immediately, but it's followed by a trail of problems, of issues, of things that don't go right. And my guess is that he probably, if this is regularly happening to him, then probably sees the people involved as being incompetent or the system involved as being broken because he won't take the time to give people he won't give people the time that they need to do things properly, or he won't allow the system to take its natural course. And my guess is that he goes through life being very frustrated with either the people that he has to deal with or the systems that he has to interact with, always thinking that the people are incompetent or the systems are broken. When in reality, the problem is he's only seeing things from his own perspective, and he's not taking the time to understand the aspects of reality or the responsibilities of the people that he doesn't see and can't imagine or think through. Now that begs the question for me, what are the things that I do? Where are the areas in my life where I am so determined to see everything done my way? Or I'm so quick to assume that I understand the way it ought to be done or how the process ought to go, that I ignore what the people involved really need to do and go through. Or I ignore the details of the situation that if I would just pay attention to them, I would see why things have to be done a way that is different than the way I want it done. And then, of course, that begs the question, how much damage am I leaving in my wake? Or how many problems am I causing for other people? Yes, but for myself. If I think about this particular gentleman, he's had so many problems since he received this service. And while I've had to deal with them, and yes, they've been a minor inconvenience here and there, they're really his problems. He's the one who's having to fight through this. He's the one who's having to suffer, so to speak. He's the one who's facing the consequences of these problems, and these problems are truly of his own making. And how often do we face problems that are of our own making and blame it on other people or on ridiculous systems or whatever it may be? And I think that this can come from any personality type when we are so addicted or so enamored with those functions that we love that we fail to consider the necessity of using the functions that we don't love or that we fear or that we're not good at, okay? So for me, like, I could get so enamored with the things that I like, introverted feeling, that I don't take into consideration what actually works, extroverted thinking. And therefore, I may hoard up around myself a multitude of things that I like and that make me feel good, but I could allow those things to just drown me in the depths of the sea because none of them actually accomplish anything of value. I could become so enamored with my extroverted sensing desire and goal to sort of take in the sensory and gather things in this physical world, see new things and hear new things and taste new foods and all these sorts of things, that I completely neglect the intuitive side of things, that I fail to see what the point is. I fail to see where it's all leading me. I fail to make the connections that help me to make sense of it all. Or vice versa, right? A person could be so lost in intuition, in the intuitive land, that they may have wonderful ideas and make wonderful connections, and yet because they ignore the sensory, they're maybe never able to put it on paper or put it in a tangible form that could be meaningful to other people. Imagine a person who has great intuitive ideas with their extroverted intuition, but who never takes the time to learn how to organize all of those wonderful ideas into something useful in the sensory world, in the physical, real world, who never takes the time to learn to either provide reasons to people why these ideas are valuable, or provide, let me rephrase that. Learn to provide reasons for other people why this is useful, why it can do something good, why these ideas can become something good, or learn to show other people why these ideas are valuable. And we could go on down the line, right? With every personality type, we could leverage each personality type's functions that they excel at against their functions that they often want to ignore. And I think what happens is that any of us can become sort of just so autopilot using our functions that we love. I don't even want to say we're good at them. Sometimes it's not even good at them. It's a horrible imbalance, actually. But we can be so on autopilot using our functions that we love that we're leaving behind a very, very valuable other side of the equation and causing ourselves more trouble than we ever realized. And because of it, we dig ourselves all sorts of holes. We cause ourselves all sorts of problems, and probably don't even realize that our problems are of our own making. And then, of course, we're always going to be looking for the incompetent fool, the idiot, the broken system, the ridiculous the group over there, whatever it is. We're always going to be looking for the other thing or the other person to blame all of our problems on. It's that guy's fault. It's the way that company operates. It's the way that the government runs things, which I'm not a fan of government, don't get me wrong, but still, we can always look to someone else and go, it's his fault, or some organization, it's their fault, or it's the way things are structured, or everything's out to get me, or whatever. Never realizing that if we would just take the time to balance our functions better and to learn to pay attention to our problems in a way that is looking at our problems like, how am I causing this? How am I contributing to this? What am I doing that is causing me these problems? I'll give you a prime example from my own life. I worked in the medical industry for 17 years with a different company, and I had the worst problem with wanting to put off conversations with mean people that I knew were going to treat me badly and say hateful things to me, okay? And when you work with the same patients for long periods of time, sometimes over years and years, you learn that there are just these certain people who they are not nice. I don't know how else to say it. They're just not nice. And what happens is, or what would happen to me is, I would say, oh my gosh, I need to call this lady, but this lady is so mean. So of course that would cause me to want to put it off till tomorrow. Well, do you think that she's going to be any nicer if she has to wait another day to find out the answer to her question? And then, of course, the next day, there's always 50 things that pop up that you don't expect. So you can just push that phone call off another day. And you push it off one more day, and all of a sudden, instead of me calling her, she's calling me. And now she's really mad. Her baseline was already rude, right? But now she's rude and extremely mad. So in this incarnation of my life in the medical world, I'm not doing that. I'm like, if I have to make a call that I don't want to make, I'm making it the second I know I have to make it and getting it over with. And what I'm finding is a lot of these mean people are not that mean. They may have a baseline that is more rude than I'm comfortable with, but it's not over the top whenever you give them the answer to the question that they're looking for. Whenever you call them back in a timely manner, whenever you do whatever it was you promised you were going to do. Many people then are much more reasonable. I was causing myself problems, and I didn't want to see that. It was much easier for me to go, well, it's just that she's so mean, instead of saying, well, she's not the nicest human being on earth, but you're only making it worse, idiot, because you're not calling her and taking care of the problem. So that's an example of how I cause myself problems, or have in the past. And with this guy that I dealt with, I'm sure that I mean, maybe this was a one-off and he's not normally like that, but I doubt it. He probably goes through life causing himself problems by demanding things right away, instead of allowing the natural processes to go through, and so on and so forth. You can analyze for yourself, what are the things that you're doing because you're so enamored with the functions that you love that you're ignoring these other functions back here, your inferior function or whichever functions it is that you struggle with, and then therefore are having these horrible problems overwhelm you later on down the road whenever everything balances out. Because the reality is, at some point, if you don't choose to learn to balance it, life's gonna balance it for you. And when life balances it for you, it's probably going to hurt. So I was really mulling over my interactions with this gentleman over the last week or so. And then I dealt with him a lot yesterday and today. And it really got me thinking about this. And what's really fascinating is, by going into my conversations with him with this mindset and kind of thinking about this, and also trying in my mind, like I'm trying to analyze, what are this guy's cognitive functions, right? What is he doubling down on that causes him to be so sort of in your face and, do things my way. And it's so fascinating because by thinking about by going into all of my phone calls with this gentleman in that mindset of thinking about things that way, I wasn't really mad. I wasn't really frustrated. I wasn't really as hurt. Like he didn't say anything mean to me. In fact, he ended up thanking me when it was all over. But I wasn't riled up. He didn't move my emotional, barometer really at all. Okay. Or not nearly as much as normal, because I was more interested in trying to ask myself, what is going on? Which cognitive functions is this guy, favoring, and which ones is he ignoring? And actually, the whole concept of that really came to me recently because my wife said that there was someone that she was dealing with a few weeks ago, and she was like, normally the way that this person behaved would have really gone all over me, basically. This is my wife speaking. She said, but I was really trying to think about it from her cognitive function standpoint, and I'm paraphrasing what my wife said. And she said, it really helped me to not be angry at her or get my feelings hurt by her, but to just understand, that, well, this person sees the world so significantly differently than I do. Let me try to think through what things look like from this other person's perspective. Anyway, I don't know if you found this useful or not. I hope you did. I hope that you'll take the time to consider your own cognitive functions and ask yourself, which functions you favor too much and which functions you ignore, and how you can be a more balanced and better person by balancing the scales on those cognitive functions. Okay. So please give me a like if you found this to be entertaining or useful. Thank you so much for watching. I do ask that you would please subscribe if you have not already. That would mean the world to me. Thank you so much, and have yourself an awesome day. Bye now.